So it's been a little while since we did a floral project, and we thought, well, what better way to incorporate the beautiful flowers from Dreaming Tree than to put them on a nice wreath that we can display during the holidays. So let's take a look at what we have here. And there's kind of a lot going on, but we're gonna take it step by step. And I've done some pre-prep here just to kind of speed things along. A lot of it is very monotonous. And what we're gonna do, and I'll just kind of go over everything just so that everything makes sense to you. So right now, all I'm doing is just kind of bringing all of the leaves in, just so you can see them all. Okay, so these are all of the little leaf pieces. And on all of these, I use the same ink. It's like a bluish green ink that we used. And I'm just gonna take the ones that I've already finished and move them out of the way. And we'll go over the ones that I didn't finish so that you can see what we did as far as inking. So we're gonna start with inking. Completely optional, but recommended, because I think it really adds a lot of dimension and character to the pieces. So you saw all these pieces here. Everything that is considered a leaf is going to be inked, and I've already pre-done all those, and I saved a few to show you my technique. Now, if you have the Dreaming Tree app, you can go under the supplies section and find a link to the special pads that I use there. Just visit Google Play or the Apple Store, the App Store, I should say, and do a search for Dreaming Tree, and you'll find all of this stuff in the supplies section. Okay, so what I did was, and again, this is it doesn't look like a bluish green, but if you compare it to other blues, it is in fact a bluish green. And I just take and apply some of that ink onto my pad. I rub a little bit of it off because I don't want that first little hit to be overwhelming. And there's two ways you can do this. I kind of sped up the process. I did it one way by just kind of putting my finger right in the area where that ink is to apply pressure, and you can just rub it on like that. It's going to be very subtle if you do it that way, okay? And it's going to probably take a little bit longer. So for smaller projects, I definitely recommend it. But since there's so much inking to do on this, and because some of the leaves and things, and even the flowers, are using a lot of dark colors, I have this little, this little doohickey. I don't even know what the heck it's called. I got to try to find it so I can link to it. And just covered just kind of the edge of it with that. And I would just kind of start rubbing and then bring it in over the little piece here. And you should be able to see the nice little gradient there that creates. And you can see how much ink we're actually applying to this. So I'll start again here. And then you can kind of do it in this motion here. Kind of follow the angle of the cut. Okay, and then you can add a little bit more towards the front. Maybe shade one side of it a little bit more than the other. Whatever you want to do. Just kind of add a little bit of ink to it. And I'll do the same thing with this one here. Same color. Actually, use the same color on everything. Okay, so just kind of try to keep it flat and then just run that ink right over the very edges here. And if you push down harder, you'll probably get a little bit more ink. And then the cool thing is that as the ink wears off, I'm kind of working this pad towards the center, and it's creating a very nice gradient look there. Okay, so I'm going to reapply, get rid of some of it, and just work those petals, or work this is a leaf in this case. Okay. so you can see how nice that looks. Very subtle, and you know, work it until it looks the way you want it to look. There's no right or wrong here. I'm gonna just hit the tip of this a little bit more. Okay, so that is that. And we'll do one more here. Now this one's a little more delicate. This is where it may be helpful to just take this thing off and kind of do it by hand. You don't have to though. And you know what, with this project, I wouldn't be overly concerned about subtlety. I think making it a little bit bold will end up looking kind of nice. But you know, anyway, I'm gonna go back to this. I'm gonna do it this way. It really speeds it up. I wouldn't always do this, not on all my projects, but this one's okay. There's so much going on. There's so many little leaves and petals and stuff all over the place that it's gonna be hard to kind of zone in on one little thing as a casual observer and really notice every little thing. But as a whole, it's gonna really make it more dramatic and make it look nicer. And I wouldn't worry too much about being perfect with this. But you know what? This technique makes it look like, makes it look like you spent a lot of time on every little nook and cranny here on these leaves and flower petals. We're gonna do the flower petals next in just a second here. Just be careful not to rip anything up or tear the paper. Kind of hold it down like so. There we go. Kind of get in the motion before I head on over to the paper, just in case there's a little area on this pad that has like a higher concentration of the ink, and then it kind of will stand out way too much and look inconsistent. So it's kind of what I'm doing here. And you can kind of run it along the natural curve there, and you see the result that we get. So I'm real happy with that. And so again, you know, all of the greenery here, it's up to you. You don't have to, but I went ahead and inked everything, okay? And also, if you worked on our poinsettia file, we also did some veining as well. So you can see the result on all this. This one, obviously, you know, it's got a lot of little areas that you want to focus on. And I'm going to get these out so I can show you some of the veining. Let me get these out of the way for now. That one's good, that one's good, that one's good. Okay, so now as far as the veining goes, on these leaves here that don't have all these little ridges, I didn't do the little additional veins. So let me show you here. On this one here, for example, I've got like a really light green marker. And what I did was I just kind of looked at where the fold was, where the score lines are. And these little dots here are where the flowers are going to be. So as long as you kind of start somewhere within here, it's fine. And find kind of the angle at which your hand just kind of goes pretty smoothly when you were to make, if you were to make a line. Okay, you don't want to like try to draw it like that. Just kind of just a real quick swipe. So I'm going to find my point and look at the other point here and just swipe it. Okay, and I'm going to start here and just swipe, just real gentle. It's really loose in my hand. Okay, I'm not really holding it down that hard. Just like that. Just one little move. You know, you don't want to, try not to break your rhythm. Like that. There you go. And you kind of just want to, you know, each of these is kind of like a joined petal, just to save you time. Kind of just did it like that. There we go. Okay, so that's, those are the straight lines. Let me get that out of the way for a second. And we'll do a couple more here. Just like that, just real subtle, real quick. If you kind of pick it up on accident, just continue on. And I'm gonna straighten that out. Just try to follow that line. Here we go, okay? So just work on your little stroke here. Just nice and straight. Here's another one. And voila, okay? So now, as far as the little veins go, with this one here, we're gonna kind of start in the middle as well and do the same thing we did. Okay, just do your best. Nice straight line. You can have a little bit of a curve to it, that's fine. There we go. Okay, and then the kind of the motion that you want. So let's practice on this sheet of paper. Let's pretend that this is the line we just drew. Here, let me do one here. Okay, what you're gonna do is you're gonna start at any point here. Don't put your marker down right away, but find a point and then just kind of go off like that. And if it helps, rotate it and then go the other way. See, I kind of do it better that way. And then we'll try another one here. Let's just do a straight line. And you know, it kind of helps if I have it on a bit of an angle. And feel free to rotate it. Whatever feels the most natural for your hand, okay? So, I'll grab this piece here and just pick a point, any point, doesn't matter. And let's see, which way am I gonna do this? I'm thinking that this is gonna feel the most natural for me, like that. And then I'm just gonna go like this, okay? Just real quick motions. Doesn't matter, the more random the better. Like that. Don't take too much time with that because then it's going to start to look unnatural, okay? This one here is another little leaf. You can see the little ridges. This is the one that we're going to put the veins on. So first we're going to draw our line like that, okay? And then let's make our little veins. Okay, that's fine. And I think that's pretty much it. So again, anything that has little ridges like this, do a line and then the little veins, practice. You know, and one thing that I did, I messed up a long time ago. I was making veins like this. Don't do that. Just start at the point and just outward, okay? So it's kind of like a rainbow. You think about a rainbow and not like that shape. Anyway. That's that. Okay, so you've got your inking, you've got your veining, you got all that good stuff. Now let's take a look at shading on the flowers. Let me grab my other ink here. Okay, so we did for the flower petals, I did the same thing. I wasn't overly concerned about, let me flip this over so you're not distracted. One thing to keep in mind here is that you're gonna have a lot of petals, okay? You're gonna have 5, 10, 15, 20, you're gonna have 25 petals, okay? And each of the petals has a numeral cut into it. Okay, like for example, this one has Roman numeral 3 cut into it. Okay, so you need 5 of each, so 5 3s, 5 1s. Well, there's going to be 5 1s, there's going to be 10 2s, and 10 3s. okay? Because this color is going to be in the middle, and then this color is going to be just off to the side, and then this color is going to be up here, okay? Or actually, it's going to be the other way around. These are going to be second, these are going to be third, okay? So anyway, all you need to know is that you need, for the center flower, you need 5 number 1s. For these 2 flowers, each one, you're going to need 5 number 2s. And for these 2 flowers, you're going to need, each one's going to need 5 number 3s. Okay, so I've already assembled 1 number 3 and 2 number 2s. But it's okay because they all go together the same exact way. It's just that they're different colors and the tips of them look a little bit different. But I wanted to show you the shading on this and how I did that. So let me get rid of this and grab, I'm using slightly different color there. I use this as well because there's quite a bit of petals here to ink. So just rub some of that off, and I just kind of, again, same thing, worked my way around the perimeter, and you can see how beautiful that looks. I'm going with a very light pressure right now, and as I begin to notice that the ink isn't applying as well, I'll increase my pressure a little bit. Right now I'm increasing my pressure, and then I'll go ahead and I'm really pushing down real hard right now because I'm running out of ink on that pad, just to kind of keep it consistent. And even if it's not perfect, it doesn't have to be exactly the same all the way around. And then also kind of doing a circular motion here at the bottom to get a little bit of that ink towards the bottom so that when we assemble the flower, that center is a little bit darker. Okay, let me just rub some of that off. We'll get a little bit more in here and just kind of concentrate it up. Okay, so there you can see how I did that. We'll do a few more. And just kind of start working it in. And then you can kind of go in this motion if you want. The cool thing is that I'm really concentrating on the very edge, but it kind of goes over a little bit, and then it creates this really nice gradient as you start to work your way into the flower. So kind of figure out what motion works best for you. Don't be overly concerned with, am I doing it right or wrong? If you have to recut a couple of them, no big deal. And then again, a little circular motion here at the bottom. The table's kind of banging on the other table here. There we go. Okay, just like that. We'll do one more here. And the same process, I'm using the same color ink. These elder bugs are everywhere. Using the same color ink on all the petals. All 3 different shades, all 3 different colors of cardstock, I should say. Okay, so let's just start hitting that. I can tell that I need to really apply some more of that ink there. I'm starting to. Now see what happened there. Kind of pushed down real hard, and I got a little splotchy area there that's not as smooth looking, but you can kind of clean that up a little bit by maybe coming in a little bit more on that side, and that's fine. You want it to be random. Flowers are very random in nature, so God, this table. There we go. All right, so I'm really happy with that. Okay, so just make sure you keep the numbers together. We've got 3, 3, 3, and 3, and 3. So we're gonna put together 2 of the flowers. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't ink the bottom of this one. I didn't ink the bottom of that one either. Let me fix that real quick. That's good. Okay, so just going to repeat that with all of your flowers, pretty straightforward. And then, as you can see here on the final ones here, there's little gold dots in there. Okay, so I have a gold Sharpie, and all I'm really gonna do is just take this thing and just dot it and just get kind of crazy. Try to keep it a dot, try not to swipe, okay, and just be as random as possible. I almost don't even want you to look. Just like that. Okay, kind of go heavier towards the bottom, and then as you get to the top, maybe not so much, like that. Okay. Definitely a good exercise in randomness. Just like that. No two flowers should look the same. Okay, and same with these. So you kind of get the idea here. And just kind of keep them together. Okay, so that's that. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start putting our flowers together. Now one other thing too is this piece here, this is actually wood. This is from the craft store. I think it's about $2 or $3. We'll put the exact model number on the website. Probably put a link to either Joann's or Michael's as well. I'm sure you can find these at Hobby Lobby as well, or AC Moore. I don't even know if that place exists anymore, but anyway, as far as the flowers go, the stamens look like this, okay? And what I did to help the folding is I took a thin dowel, because we gotta fold this in half. I took a dowel and put it right in the middle, and just kind of folded it over just to kind of get it started, because sometimes it's a little tough to get it started, and then just fold it in half. And you're gonna have to probably squeeze these individual little cuts too, just to kind of get them to sit nice, because there's a little bit of resistance there. Okay, so just squeeze them in half. And don't worry if they're not all perfect, and if you've got a little bit of paper tearing, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. It's a stamen there. Not exactly the most perfect looking parts of a flower. Okay, and then what we're gonna do, you can see that there's this little tab on one side. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap this around this way so that this tab ends up over here. Okay, we don't wanna wrap it this way so that this tab needs to be on the outside when we finish wrapping it. So all we're gonna do is just grab one end and just start folding it. Kind of try to fold it in half each time. And if it feels like it's kind of slipping up, just tuck it back under. Just keep folding it in half or rolling it. I think I first started with a fold, and now it's more of a roll. Okay, and if it feels like it's just wanting to fight you, just shove it in there. And just keep on rolling. It's gonna probably give you a little bit of resistance, and that's fine. Just shove it in there, just kind of pinch that little spot that wants to fight, and just keep on rolling, keep on rolling. There we go. All that matters is the top part. Okay, and then once you get to the end, grab a little bit of glue. I actually didn't even get my glue bottle ready. And just put a little bit of glue on that little tab piece, and of course my glue's clogged because I didn't get it ready. Let me just clean that out real quick. go. Just throw a little dot of glue here on the end and just roll that around and just close it up. And then just hold that between your fingers there. And that's what you should end up with. And then you can, while you're holding it and letting it set and dry, start flaring these out. Might as well get as much area as you can from all these little stamen pieces here. Okay, and that should be pretty much set by now as far as the glue goes. Okay, so just kind of hold that. You can do it. I believe in you. There we go. Just flare it out until it looks good. Doesn't have to be perfect. So much little detail in here. You're not going to be able to pick all of it up, but that's kind of what it should look like when it's all done. Okay, so you can do the same thing with this one. We can do this one more time if you'd like. So again, I'm just taking my dowel, popping it in the center there to kind of help this thing fold a little bit. Okay, and then just going to take this and fold it in half, right up to, well, just fold it in half, just like you're folding a piece of paper in half, except you've got, 50 little stamen cut into it. Okay, do your best. Doesn't have to be perfect. No one's really going to see the bottom of this, just the top part of the stamens. Okay, and then again, I'm going to take and with the little tab piece at the bottom, just start folding and rolling this over onto itself. Okay, and if it's kind of bulging there, just squeeze it and just force it. It's totally fine. There we go. Okay, pretty much to the end here. And let's get our glue on that little tab there. And close it up. Now you could technically, while you're rolling it, apply glue throughout the entire strip, but I've had those completed flowers sitting there overnight and they're doing just fine. So I have one of these little stamen pieces here that doesn't look that great. I'm just going to rip it off. It's fine. No one's going to notice if you're missing a stamen or two. Okay, and then on my final version there, I took a little paintbrush and I hit that with a little bit of metallic gold paint. And that kind of brought everything together. Okay, so there we go. I think my first one was a little bit better than this one, but again, random is okay. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so we are ready to assemble our flowers. And what we want to do is we're going to take, and you can see where there's a little slit here. What we're going to do is take and kind of tuck the slits together, or one over the other, or one under the other, until these 2 points meet. Okay, and we're going to glue it like that so that it kind of cups like this. Okay, so all you really need is just a little drop of glue. And I know. Okay, so just take and just pop a little drop. I'm putting it on the number, that number 3, and I'm just going to tuck that under and just kind of squish and press to get it to hold, just like that. You might want to give it a few seconds to make sure that it really sticks. And again, just make sure you keep the same colored flowers together. Okay, and then again, just put a little dot right on the numbers and just tuck it under until the 2 points meet, and just give it a press. Just squeeze. and just repeat that. So if I were you, I'd probably just kind of, excuse me, create an assembly line. And I would maybe start with inking on the leaves. Then I would do the veining. Then I'd ink the flowers, dot the flowers, assemble the flowers like this, and then maybe make the stamen, just to kind of have everything all ready to go for the main part of our assembly. There's a lot of little details involved, but as long as you do it all systematically, it should go together nicely. Okay, so I've got this one done. Moving on to the next one here. Just a small little dot of glue is all you need. And just tuck it under where the 2 points meet, and then just squeeze. And then when we put the flowers together, you know, they're gonna have nice little dimension and all that good stuff. So, all right, so there's 5 there, and I'll just kind of trying to walk you through like 2 of everything. I don't want to bore you by doing the same thing 5 times, but I think after just a couple of these petals, it's pretty self-explanatory, I'd say. Okay, there we go. This one's a little bit larger, so there's not as much resistance when I overlap these. There we go. I do have my hot glue gun getting warmed up over there for when we start applying everything to the little wooden wreath. Okay, a couple more. We already have our stamen all done. And then, I think I mentioned this already, but on the other stamen there, I took some gold metallic paint and with just a little brush, just kind of dabbed the tips of it to add a little bit of gold to kind of complement the little gold specks on the flowers. And there's our last one. Just give it a press and hold it. Okay, and then we can begin assembling the actual flowers themselves. And put these off to the side. We'll start with these. And what you want to do is just kind of grab maybe 3 of these petals and figure out just how much or how little you're going to need to overlap them to get them to kind of create and go full circle. Just kind of get it in your mind's eye how much of an overlap you're going to need. And I think right about there is good. So I'm just going to start by putting a little bit of glue right here in the center, grabbing my other petal, and I'm going to overlap this one like that, and just give it a squeeze. Just hold that in place. And then while you're doing this, if you want, ultimately what I was doing with the other ones was kind of folding them back a little bit, and then occasionally folding some of them forward just to kind of make it a little random here and there. So now we can grab our next little petal, and I kind of want to create like that shape. Okay, so that there's just 3 there with enough room for 2 more at the bottom. So this one's probably going to have a little bit more of an overlap. So just put a little dot of glue there and pop that right in there like that. And I'm going to curl this one forward, maybe like that. Okay, and then this one here. So I'm kind of staggering these. I'm going one under, one over, and I'm going to put this one under like that. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom here instead of the top. And I think that is probably good right there, because we're going to put this one here. That's about right. And I'll curl that one back This is a very simple flower to put together. There's no stem on it. We're just going to be gluing it right to the project. And then this one here I'm going to put on top. So there you can see what our flower is beginning to look like here. Throw a little bit of glue right about there. And pop this petal right in place. Make sure it looks sort of symmetrical, but not like overly perfect. And I'm going to curl this one a lot. There we go. Okay, so there's your flower. Really simple. Okay, and then just take the little stamen and pop some glue on there. You can go a little heavier on that. If you wanted to use hot glue, you can. And then just pop that right in the center. And there you go. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna curl this one back. Maybe like that. I'll bring that down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I'll put that off to the side and let that stamen kind of stick. And then we're just gonna work on this next flower. So again, maybe just take them and kind of arrange them by just holding them in the center, just to kind of get a feel for what we're going after here. And I think that one's gonna go like that. There we go. Okay. There, that looks great. So let's just start with two. I'm gonna put a little glue right there at the tip and just kind of lay that right on there. Give it a squeeze. Okay. And then I'm gonna go right about there. And pop that one right about there. Like that. And then put the last two in place here just to kind of get a feel for, yeah, that's good. All right, so this one here is going to go right there. Oops. That's okay. The stamen's going to go in there anyway, so don't worry about being overly perfect here. And then this last one, I'm going to glue on the underside. So I'm going to put the glue here. Just tuck that under, right about there. That looks pretty nice. There we go. Okay, now while I'm kind of holding everything together, I'm going to give these a little curl. Yeah, this will curl in a little bit. Okay, so there is our flower. And again, let's grab our stamen, center of the flower here, and just drop it right in the middle. There we go. And there's our pretty flower. Okay, so again, you're gonna repeat that with all 5. And just to go over that one more time, you're gonna have one flower with a number, well, there's gonna be 5 petals with a Roman numeral 1. And then you're gonna have, I can't remember if these are 2s or 1s. These are 3s. So you're gonna have 10 petals with the number 3 and 5 petals for each flower. And then you're gonna have 10 petals with a number 2, 5 for each flower. Okay, so let's get, I'll just show you how I did this. Oops. Sorry, Mr. Glue Gun. And just throw a little splotch of my metallic paint there and just pop it on the brush, maybe dab off a little bit so there's not too much on there. And just hit the top gently with a little bit of gold. There we go. I put out way too much paint. I hate wasting stuff, but oh well. little hints, there's gonna be little hints of gold throughout there. After we get this all put together, we may or may not add some faux elements from the floral section. Okay, so that's that. You know, we're kind of really pretty much ready to start putting this all together. You want to go through, now that we've got our flowers, I'm just going to put those off to the side. This thing, as I mentioned, I just kind of painted it green because they come brown like this with a foam brush. That made it pretty quick. And then let me get rid of this so I don't get paint on something that I don't want paint on. Okay. And we can talk about what we did as far as training these elements goes. This guy here, what I did was I took a large dowel and I just wrapped it around the dowel like this. Obviously, there's a fold in the center, so you want to pinch and fold that, and then just wrap that around your dowel to give it kind of a nice look like that. Okay, so you can see how that is. So I'll do that to this guy here. You can see that there's a fold here. So just fold it at the score mark. Do as I say, not as I do. Where are you, fold? There you are. Okay, just kind of fold, pinch the tip, and then you can take your dowel and start with the little areas that are kind of far away from the dowel and start wrapping those so you don't tear them. And then just wrap it around your dowel and you can see how nice that looks. So just kind of start there and there and there, and then just keep wrapping. And there you go. Okay, so that one's done. These, I think I have another one of these somewhere, or maybe not, but all you're doing with these, you can see the little fold lines here. Just gonna pinch those. Okay, and then again, I just kind of took my dowel and kind of folded them. Be careful about folding or rolling them like this. You don't want to roll too hard when there's not that much space there because you may risk tearing it. So just give it as much of a fold, or a train I should say, as you can without breaking it. So again, here's another one where you just kind of pinch and fold, and then take your dowel and give it a little bit of a curve like that. Okay, and let's see here. This guy here, you can see that there are some folds on this. Whoops. So just take and fold it at the score mark, pinch the tip like that. Helps when you kind of just grab it from the sides and just bring it in. It kind of naturally finds that fold. There we go, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to take my dowel again and just make sure that you've got it down the full length of this little leaf here, and just kind of roll it on your dowel and give it some of that nice curve. These larger pieces are a little bit harder to work with as far as training goes, but like I said, as long as you start with the very end and just start curling that, the rest of it kind of just grabs on. And some of this may lose, well, no, it won't completely lose. It's the training that we're applying to it, but it may flatten out a little bit, but that's okay. All right, so it's probably easier this way. There we go, like that. Oops. There we go. Yeah, whatever method works for you. This one's a little tougher to wrap around the dowel. There we go. Okay, so you see what we got there. It just really makes it look way more interesting. It plays with the light really nicely. You've got areas that are highlighted, areas that are shadowed, depending on how the light hits it. Now this is the main piece. There's two of these, and with this, I just kind of folded and pinched these. And don't pinch too much because you're going to risk creating tears here in these little areas. So just give it a little bit of a pinch. This is the backmost layer on the left and right side of our wreath, so it doesn't need that much dimension, but you can go ahead and take these little areas and give them a little bit of a curve as well. The more dimension we get on this thing, the more lively it's going to look, the more beautiful it's going to look. So do your best to add as much as you can without, breaking any of the pieces. I already did this one. This one's the same thing. You just pinch and just kind of curl, And then here's some of the other pieces here. This little guy here, I'm just gonna pinch. Don't pinch it all the way to the end, just kind of like right there is perfect. And then take your dowel and just kind of curl it a little bit. You can see it from both sides there. There we go, that one's done. These guys here, you're gonna need some pinching. So again, I know I'm not telling you do this exact thing to piece A, do this exact thing to piece D or whatever. I think you guys can all take a look and see which ones are the straight leaves and which ones are the leaves that look like this. But in essence, we're doing the same exact thing to all these pieces. And that's all you really need to do. Just do your best like that. And again, these are kind of like really close together, so you're not going to get much out of them as far as this little technique with the dowel goes. But like I said, every little bit helps. So do your best to give every little piece here some life. Okay, let's take a look here. This one's done. This one here, you can see there's some score marks there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of just folding it right here, just kind of bringing it in slowly, and then taking these two fingers and making it fly. Kidding. Just kind of pinching it once I get about halfway, and then of course focusing on the tip here just so that I get a nice crease at the end. There we go. Just like that. There we go. There, perfect. And then I'll take my dowel and just wrap these around. There we go. It's almost kind of easier to do it from underneath. And you can see that one there, it was so close to the other one that I really couldn't do much with it. That's fine, just don't tear it. There we go, that looks nice. Okay, and this guy here, what we're gonna do is just kind of curl this in. Okay, and then if you want to take maybe just one of these corners and maybe bring that part back a little bit, that's fine. You don't really need to do much with that. And then this guy here, this is the big guy. There's two of these, one for each side. And again, I'm just kind of squeezing from both sides and then letting it kind of crease. And in some of these areas, you're only going to be able to crease it so much. Like this area here and that last area I just did. You're not going to be able to crease it all that much. Okay. And give it a pinch on the end. There we go. And one more. Okay, there you go. And then we can take our dowel again and just kind of wrap these a little bit. Like I said, don't overdo it on some of these areas because it's just gonna rip. But give it a little bit. Give it a little bit of love. Oops. This part should curl nicely. There we go. There we go. Okay. I think that's good. Okay, so got all our little pieces here, and we can really just kind of start putting it together. So before we do that, we're going to want to attach some ribbon to this. Okay, and I probably would recommend hot gluing it. Okay, so find your center point and just kind of feed the ribbon through, or the string if you got baker's twine. I don't know what colors you're planning on using, but and then what I would do is tie this. This is probably not going to knot very well for me because it's really thin. I'm going to try to get a big enough knot on here. That's not going to work. So what I'm probably going to do is just kind of tape this down and then maybe do a little bit of hot glue on it as well. So let me just tape that down. You know what, that should probably hold. And then just to make sure, I'll just throw a little hot glue on that spot right there. Ow, that burns. Well, it is hot glue, Leo. It's gonna burn. Okay, and you know, I figure you're probably gonna want I'm gonna bring this over to the other side, feed it through. Your little wreath thing should have these holes in it as well, if you get the exact one we have. And just figure out how much you want. I'm probably gonna leave a little slack just in case I want to adjust this later. So for now, I might just tape this down just to kind of give myself the opportunity to lengthen or shorten it depending on how I want it to hang. So I'll get that in place, and I'll just take an X-Acto and just cut it. Okay. So we've got our little ribbon on there to hold it in place. Okay, and we can start layering everything down here. Okay, so we've made this pretty easy for you. What you're going to want to do, obviously you've got your wreath. Find this piece, and you can see which way they angle. So one's going to be on the left, one's going to be on the right. And then what you want to do is look through all your leaves and find this little leaf with the letter C, and this little leaf with the letter C. One goes on each side. This set of leaves with the letter B, and this set of leaves with the letter B. Let me move this up a little bit. Okay. Then this set of leaves with the letter C, and this set of leaves with the letter C, and then this with the letter C, and this with the letter C, one for each side. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to make sure that there's two letter C's here, okay? And you want to kind of face them like this, and I had them flip-flopped. I had them like this. You actually want this one where the two leaves going straight have one leaf off to the side. This one wants to go on this side, and this one wants to go on this side. And then as for this guy here, you'll notice that there's just this one little area here that sticks out a lot, okay? And you want that on this side here. The little area that sticks out, you want that pointing in. And this one's kind of a mirror image of it, and you want that pointing in that way. Okay, and then these two pieces here are also kind of mirrored, okay? And you want, so if you kind of overlap them, you'll see that if you kind of put them on top of each other where the hole is, this one's gonna be kind of more right. This one's gonna be, the one behind there's gonna be more left. You want the one that's more right to go to the right, and the one that's more left to go onto the left. Okay, so, and then these guys here, these little elements, I'm gonna put like 4 of them just in random places on this side, and then 3 on that side. Okay, and then we have this piece here. You'll see that there's a letter A on this. That is gonna go on top of all this once we're done. And then this is gonna go, and then this is gonna go like this with the smaller leaf towards the bottom. Okay, so we just move that out of the way. We're gonna start on the right side here. And I'm gonna hot glue this stuff. And what we wanna do is, so starting from the center hole here, these are gonna be the 3 dots that we're gonna line this up with. Okay, so it's gonna be like that. These 3, we're gonna leave that middle dot up there for, which one was it? Well, that's where the bow goes, okay? And then the center one down here is where the A is gonna go. Okay, so let's get our hot glue. And I think what I'm gonna do is just move this out of the way. And I'm just gonna start putting some hot glue right around the circles here. Just kind of do that. And then, like I said, just do your best to align it with the holes there. There you hole. Sorry, I have to kind of put my head in there. Okay, there we go. And that is, with the hot glue, that is all set. Okay, so there we go with that. Okay, next, what we're gonna do is, you'll see here on this piece that there's a letter C here and a letter B here, okay? Okay, so I kind of made a boo-boo here, disregard that. So you wanna find this piece first. I put the wrong piece down first. Just throw a little bit of hot glue right over that little circle there and just match it up with the circle. And, ow, it's really hot. And just lay it so that it pretty much just kind of follows the natural curve of the wreath. And I should probably just use a dowel or something to press that down. I don't know what the heck happened to it. It's probably right in front of my face. There it is. Okay, whoops. All right, and then find this piece here, and that's just gonna get layered right on top of this piece. So let's just add a little drop right around that hole again. Okay, and literally just right on top of it. Just push that down. Okay, there we go. All right, now find your C with the 2 leaves like this, with the one going in. And you'll notice that right here on the actual leaves are a series of little score marks to help you with the alignment of that. So find the little hole there and then adjust it so that the little score lines kind of follow the curve of this piece here. So again, we're just kind of layering here. I'm gonna throw a little hot glue on there. And just follow that curve there. Make sure you get it lined up with the hole. There we go. I'm gonna press that down with my dowel. Get it to stick. There we go. And that looks good. Okay, and that just leaves our letter B. And you can see that there's also a little score mark down here that kind of contours this section here. So that is going to help you get that nice and lined up. So let us glue that down right around that B. And just follow that little curve there. You can kind of cover it up a little bit so that it's not so visible. There we go. All right, so that's what we have so far with our wreath. Okay, and really what we're going to do now is just kind of repeat the same thing on the other side, and until we get to the point where, well, what you can do at this point, if you'd like, is take and just kind of figure out where you want to put a few of these little pieces. Okay, and I would grab a dowel and just kind of curl these so they're not so flat, and just just grab put one little dot of hot glue on these, and probably gonna take one and just pop one in here so I have a little bit of white showing out right about there. So let's do that. Just a little drop of hot glue right on the back of this guy, and just kind of lift that up and just pop that in place right about there. Just hide it and tuck it behind the other leaves there. Okay, then I'll probably stagger it down a little bit and put one right about here. Okay, so let's just do that. And don't forget to train these little sprigs here to give them a little bit of life. You can do that after, you can do it before. It's up to you. There, that looks good. Just make sure that it's got a good hold, and then just kind of flare these out a little bit so they don't lay so flat. Just give them a little life. Okay, and then just kind of keep on going down the line here. I'm probably going to stick one right about here maybe. And just make sure that you're hiding it behind, a leaf, so it's not so visible. There we go. Give that a press and curl some of these out. Most of these are probably going to be kind of flattened down by all these other leaves everywhere, but maybe that's why you can train them after you kind of get them positioned. And I'm not worried about that little bit showing through there because my flowers go in there. I'm gonna have this one kind of sticking out this way. Or maybe, let's see, maybe like that. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, that's fine. All right, I'll train those in a minute. But let's go over to the other side now. And again, you're gonna skip the top hole in the center, and you're gonna align these with these 3 holes, like that. Okay, so let's get our glue on here around the holes, and then maybe a nice line through the center there, and just get that nice and aligned right there. Give it a press. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to take and grab our other C. Okay, and that is going to go, it's going to go like that. So let's add our hot glue there. Pop that in place. Try to kind of keep it symmetrical. Okay, then we're going to grab this one here and just throw a little hot glue on there, right over it, like that. Okay. We're going to grab our C, and remember that we have little identifiers on this piece to help you with the positioning. So cover the hole and then figure out based on, you'll see the little indicator here. Let me scoot this up a bit right there. Cover over the hole and just kind of scoot it until it matches up. So it's going to be like that. Okay. And I'm kind of following that first, and then there we go. I kind of put a lot down there. I don't want to burn myself here. And that looks good. Okay. And last but not least, our letter B on top of section B, and follow that little curve there that we have there for you. And you'll be in good shape, just like that. Okay, so let's add our glue around the B. And as you've probably guessed by now, that our flowers, we've got a kind of a labeling system for that too. Remember how we had a 1 and a 2 and a 3? Well, here's our 1. Our 1's going to go down here. Let me make sure I got the right 2 here. This is a 3. 3s are going to go up by the C's, and the 2s are going to go on the B's. Okay, so you can see what this wreath is starting to shape up to. Okay, but let's take a look at the bottom here. Here's your A, and the bottom's going to go right here. Okay, so just go ahead and throw a little bit of hot glue around that circle there. It's plenty. You don't want to overdo it because, again, we want these petals to, and these leaves to be kind of free. Make sure it's nice and centered. Okay, that looks good. And then again, we want to make sure that the shorter flower, or not flower, but leaf is down here. We want it to kind of, be nice and well-rounded with more stuff kind of bushing into the center. So let's get our A in place here, like so. There we go. And don't forget on your other side here to kind of sandwich these in wherever you see fit. But guys, we're getting to the fun part here where we can actually add the flowers. We still have a bow to make, but that only takes a second. So again, just remember now the different sections, A, B, there's 2 B's, 1 A, 2 B's, 2 C's, right? And look for the flower number 1. You could probably, if you look, you should be able to see, as long as you tuck them under, that this is number 1. Okay, so let's just take and let's get some glue right in that little hole there, and just pop that right in the center. And I might have to put my head in here for a second just to make sure that I'm getting it nice and centered, and I am. There we go, beautiful. All right, now look for flower number 2. These are my flower number 2s. The flower number 2s are going over the B's. Okay, so let's just put some glue over one of the B holes. And get that centered. I do not recommend putting hot glue on any B hole except for this B hole. Unless you really dislike somebody, but all right, so put some more glue on the other hole B and pop your flower right in there, nice and centered. This thing is starting to look pretty nice. All right, and then finally, letter C. And let me see what this looks like. Oh yeah. Well, isn't that pretty? Okay. And our other C, again, just coating where the hole is, using that as kind of a guide. and centering it nicely. Oh yeah. Wasn't that special? Okay. All right. So again, don't forget these. Don't forget these guys. You can just tuck those in wherever you see fit. And finally, just have to make our little bow here to finish this thing off. And that's pretty straightforward. I'll show you how that works. Okay, so our bow. Grab a dowel and let's just start training this to give it a nice round look. Okay, and what we're gonna do, you can see that there's a little tab on this. You don't necessarily need to fold it, but the idea is to, okay, so what we wanna do is where this little fold is, you can see that this kind of matches up with this piece here. So you don't, where this little tab is where you're gonna put your glue, but you don't wanna encroach over the other tab. Leave that middle section alone, okay? And now this is that pain in the butt paper that I was using earlier, so I'm actually kind of glad that I've got my hot glue gun here because this is gonna make quicker work of this job. So just kind of wrap it around and connect it right there so that it just kind of, yeah, there we go. So actually, you know what, you do want to fold that tab because it helps the bow kind of pop out more. Okay, there we go. So let's fold our tab and let's get some glue right on the back of this. There we go. And just connect that so it matches up with the shape. There we go. I'm actually very happy with the way this turned out. Okay, so there we go. So far, so good. And what we want to do next is take this piece and we're going to flare this out a little bit like that. I'm going to take this piece and wrap it around like this. You just fold it pretty much anywhere like that. Just make sure you fold it nice and straight. I'm going to just put a hint of hot glue on the back of this and glue that down. And then fold this piece over onto itself. And you can leave a little bit of slack there. So let's glue that down. Okay. And then we can take the tail. We're going to glue the tail to the back of this. Okay, so just throw a little extra glue. Oh no. You just glue the tail right on the back. Make sure you get it nice and straight. There you go. The top of the tail should be flush with the top of the bow. That's how you know you got it right. Okay, so that seems to be holding nicely. And I'm actually going to pop dot this. Just throw a pop dot on the back of this guy and pop that in the middle of our bow. Right about there. And going to finish this off by adding one of these guys here, just to kind of wrap it up. And I'm not sure which one yet, but I'm going to need to hot glue that. So anyway, if you have a nice giant gem or some sort of embellishment that you want to put on top there, that's what I'd recommend doing. And then finally, I'm just going to take our bow and glue that right to the center there. Okay, let me see if I can get any more hot glue out of this thing. I have to get another stick. What's going on in this craft room? Okay, just going to throw a little bit of glue right on the oh God. All right, just get it nice and centered. Right there. kind of flatten the bow out a little bit if you think it's too much. And there we go. And there is our beautiful wreath. Look at that. Okay, so, I mean, as far as embellishments go, I think we pretty much have done all the embellishing we're gonna do. I don't think that we're adding anything else to this. So I think that's pretty much it for this project. Again, I might throw in just a few little sprigs of some stuff that you really can't recreate with paper, but on its own, with just paper, I think that this thing can stand on its own and it looks amazing. So if you make this, I'd love to see it in your version with your colors and your inking and all that stuff. These are probably some of the most fun to do because you really get to kind of feel like a kid with a crayon almost. So I hope to see yours. If you do make it, please post a photo in our official Facebook group by doing a search for Dreaming Tree Group on Facebook. Join myself and 8,000 other dreamers. And if you loved our video today, please take a moment. I think I've got hot glue all over the place. Please take a moment to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. That kind of lets me know that we're doing a good job here at Dreaming Tree. And I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and I look forward to crafting with you again. Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.